Hey, what is up, guys? This is me, Card Collector Bray, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you guys if the Game Boy Advance SP is worth it in 2022. So let's get right into it. The Game Boy Advance SP came out on February 14th, 2003, and it was much more successful than the Game Boy DMG because it introduced something called a backlight, which the original Game Boy did not have. As you can see on this Game Boy, gameplay looks a lot better than it would on a Game Boy DMG. Something else that made the Game Boy Advance SP much more successful than the Game Boy DMG is it is backwards compatible with Game Boy DMG cartridges. So if I flip it open and power it on, it loads up the game. The Game Boy Advance SP was also one of the first Game Boys to feature a rechargeable battery. So it would have this proprietary charger that would plug into the back right here. And kind of like a DS, it would have a green and orange indicator light. Now let's talk about some of the games for this thing. Now I do not have a very big library of Game Boy games in general, but these are the two Game Boy Advance SP games I have, or Game Boy Advance games, and it is Super Mario Advance Part 1, which features Super Mario Bros. 2 Remastered, and Super Mario World, aka Super Mario Advance Part 2, which features Super Mario World Remastered. The two Game Boy DMG games I have are Tetris and Pokemon Blue. Now there is a much wider variety of games for the Game Boy Advance SP, and it can play Mortal Kombat, but I heard that it is not a pleasant experience to play that game, and it also introduced games that we know nowadays and love, such as Pokemon Fire Red, Pokemon Emerald, Leaf Green, Ruby, Sapphire, and I can't name any more off the top of my head. But the Game Boy Advance SP definitely has a very big game selection. Now let's talk about purchasing the Game Boy Advance SP in 2022. Would I say it's worth it? I definitely would say it's worth it for the compatibility, the game selection, and all of that. But its predecessor, the original Game Boy, is also still worth it in 2022 if you want that nostalgic feeling. And just remember that the Game Boy Advance SP comes with a backlight, and the original Game Boy does not. So I've shown you guys gameplay of the Game Boy Advance SP playing Game Boy DMG games, but I have not shown you how it plays an actual Game Boy Advance game. So here's Mario World as an example, making sure y'all can see it without any glare. I'm not sure. Make sure the backlight is on. Dang it. Yeah, but anyways, that is how Super Mario World plays on the Game Boy Advance SP. So would I say this guy is worth it in 2023? Have I been saying 2022 the whole video? I apologize if I have been. I just realized it's 2023. But would I recommend it? Yes, I definitely would. The Game Boy Advance SP still holds up to this day, ever since 2004. But if you want that nostalgic feeling, go ahead and go with the Nintendo Game Boy DMG. But anyways, I'm Card Collector Bray, and this is me signing off. I love you guys, and see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.